Dallas police, along with Homeland Security, broke up a human trafficking ring after a months-long investigation. Police say they were preying on women who are not from this country, promising work, forcing them into prostitution. Fox 4's Sean Rabb joins us live with more. Sean.
Friday, Dallas police run search and arrest warrants at this apartment complex at 5930 Arapahoe. Two women, Arely Lopez Guzman and Fabiola Cardenas, arrested on compelling prostitution, trafficking persons charges, and more. Lopez Guzman's bonded out of jail. Cardenas is on an immigration hold. 5 women were rescued in 3 locations, not U.S. citizens, women duped into prostitution.
It was 4:15 a.m. in Franklin, Alabama. The air was thick, humid, and silent, the kind of silence that only exists right before a storm breaks loose. Across the street, the neon sign of the Jade Dragon restaurant flickered non-stop, a sickly green glow spilling onto the rain-soaked road like a quiet warning. From the outside, it looked like an ordinary suburban eatery, its glass doors covered in menus and faded red lanterns. But inside, the stench of old frying oil mixed with a bone-chilling fear. In the darkness of the parking lot, 61 elite operators from the FBI and SLY tightened their gloves and adjusted their night vision goggles. They stood shoulder to shoulder, a silent block of steel ready to execute Operation Red Lantern. This wasn't a local raid, it was a tactical destruction strike aimed at a billion-dollar transnational network.
There are people out there that will take advantage of those that are the most vulnerable. Those that have food insecurities, housing insecurities. There are people out there looking for jobs, and people will take advantage of that. So they were lured through social media for a job.
Stay with me, because what they found behind a false wall in the kitchen will change everything you think you know about the strip mall next to your grocery store. If you believe these criminal networks are hiding in plain sight and need to be dismantled, comment protect right now and subscribe. Your engagement is the only thing that keeps these stories from being buried. The mission was to shatter a network stretching from high-rises in East Asia to the quietest neighborhoods in the American heartland. For months, local forces had noticed disturbing irregularities in Chinese massage parlors and eateries. But when the pieces finally connected, the FBI stepped in. This was no longer an investigation. It was a war for the soul of the community. 4:21 a.m. breach. Simultaneous raids launched in Franklin, Queens, Texas, and New York City. Federal agents expected to find routine immigration violations, a few undocumented workers washing dishes. Instead, they stepped into a deadly abyss of human rights abuse. The managers weren't small-time thugs. They were a structured organization, disciplined and systematic. As tactical teams established the perimeter, encrypted signal scanners began lighting up. The FBI realized they were being watched. Every inch of the Jade Dragon was outfitted with an incredibly sophisticated hidden surveillance system. High-definition cameras were concealed inside smoke detectors, tucked into ceiling corners, and even embedded in decorative light boxes. They weren't there to stop thieves, they were there to monitor the victims. The data was being pushed out of the United States in real time toward overseas command hubs. Someone, thousands of miles away, was watching every movement, every second. This was industrialized debt slavery. Most of the victims, mostly Chinese women, had been lured to America with promises of legal work or study abroad programs. The moment they arrived, the trap snapped shut. They were told they owed between $50,000 and $70,000 for the trip. They were forced to work 20-hour shifts, 7 days a week, sleeping on filthy thin mattresses in storage rooms behind the kitchen. In one cinder block cell, agents found a woman who had been chained up and sexually assaulted. This was a criminal business model, revenue, expenses, and total control. The organization ensured the victims could never ask for help by rotating them across state lines every few months from Texas to New York, from Oklahoma to Alabama. By constantly relocating them, they ensured the victims never learned the language or their surroundings. They were treated like replaceable assets in a global criminal supply chain. But the horror didn't stop in the kitchen. In one Texas neighborhood, agents uncovered a criminal architecture that made their blood run cold. 3 separate businesses, seemingly unrelated, were connected by a single underground corridor. This passage allowed traffickers to move victims and destroy evidence within minutes if the front entrance was breached. This network wasn't just on paper, it was rooted in the physical infrastructure of American cities. Comment expose if you think every business involved in this shadow corridor should be seized and leveled. As the victims were escorted to safety, forensic teams moved in to follow the money. What they found led to a global financial labyrinth engineered to conceal $1 billion empire. Profits were split into thousands of microtransactions, a process known as smurfing to avoid federal detection. Every dollar extracted from a victim in a strip mall in Missouri was recorded instantly into an encrypted digital ledger. The money was then pushed through more than 200 shell companies with respectable names like Golden Lotus Wellness or Pacific Real Estate Management. They were hiding an entire crime under the cover of legitimate business. Financial data was uploaded to overseas servers in continuous cycles. Someone was sitting behind a dashboard watching America like a remote-controlled machine. Preparations for the final wave of raids were a lesson in federal precision. Special operations teams were briefed on the layout of every cold storage room and hidden compartment. They weren't just breaking down doors, they were breaking the psychological cage built around the victims. The clock hit 0. Across 5 states, the quiet of suburban America was ripped apart by flashbangs and hydraulic rams. Tactical teams stormed more than 20 locations in a single coordinated wave. In Missouri, victims were found packed behind false walls in spaces no bigger than a closet. When agents smashed through, the victims didn't see rescuers, they saw another nightmare beginning. It took hours for trauma specialists and interpreters to convince them the domination was finally over. By the end of the day, 37 high-level coordinators were in handcuffs. Among them was a 38-year-old operator in Oklahoma accused of selling a 14-year-old girl across state lines. He now faces federal charges under RICO that could mean life in prison. The traffickers spoke with a brutal clarity that chilled the investigators. One intercepted message read, "You belong to me. I'll take you wherever I want, but don't be fooled. This isn't just a story for the news. These crimes don't hide in war zones. They hide in strip malls, next to grocery stores, across from your child's park. The Jade Dragon is closed, but the shadow architecture remains. The operators treat human beings like merchandise, and they are constantly looking for the next location to set up their prison operation. Red Lantern has cut the spine out of a monster, but the investigation is far from over. Victims are being granted T visas for safety, and the federal government is moving to seize every asset linked to these shell companies. For the agents who spent months in the shadows watching the transit map of these victims, this was a victory for the soul of the community. But for you, the viewer, it is a call to action. Stay alert, stay aware, refuse to look away. If you want to see the names of the shadow accountants revealed in our next update, hit the like button and subscribe now. Vigilance is not a choice, it's a responsibility. Comment truth if you believe we must stop the industrialized exploitation of the vulnerable.